Welcome to Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc, the wildest mixed tag team in podcasting where the kayfabe drops and the chaos takes over. Let's ring the damn bell.
Headlocks tight, heels on the prowl, dropping elbows, hearing growl, feel the foul. No script here, just real, no bluff. Kayfabe crack, now the dirt gets rough. Headlocks, heels, havoc in the zone. Stepping in the ring, chaos at your home. No filters, no mask, just raw bare tone. Wrestling unscripted, we on the throne. Title belts, mic checks, crowd going crazy. Drop truth bombs, leaving lines feeling hazy. Beyond the kayfabe, past the charade, where legends are born and stories get made. Headlocks popping, who's hitting the mat? Welcome to the Havoc where the real talk's at. Tune in, step through, leave the fake at the door. Headlocks, heels, Havoc, now hear the roar.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am one half the greatest tag team in podcasting, that is the legend J Mac. With me as always is everybody's favorite uncle, Uncle Slam.
What's up, family?
And of course, as you see below both of us, me and Uncle Slam, we're one of the greatest tag teams in podcasting. These gentlemen are one of the greatest tag teams in the business. Let me introduce you to Titan Troy and Brock's Boulder, Grappling Inc.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
What do you say, fellas?
I had to take the glasses off.
I'm not taking these things off. Listen, my mom, I was so bright. My mama called me son. I'm just saying that's what I bring to the show. That's what's up.
That's what we like to hear.
I'm just a boy named Sue.
Whoa. I like it.
Whoa, too much information. Too much for, yeah.
2026, Bubba, you do whatever you want to, boo-boo. You be
right,
who you want.
unfortunately. I don't want to be that much of nothing. Now, guys, we brought you here today because we have been waiting to have this episode with you all about, we are going to dive in to what makes a great heel. Before we get started, everybody go hit that like, share, follow, and subscribe so we can keep bringing you great guests like Grappling Inc. and others. But yeah, and to get it started, I guess we're going to be able to, I want to pay a little respect to one of the greatest heels of all time. Rest in peace, Dennis Condrey, passed away this past week. We had a little, I don't want to say a memorial thing, but a little time on our last episode. Yeah, a little tribute to him. So, before we get into it, would y'all like to say anything about Dennis?
Pioneer, man. And
yeah.
We never got the privilege to meet him in a locker room, but we know a lot of guys that did. Was actually just on the show last Saturday with a lot of guys that knew him pretty well. And like I said, we never got the pleasure, but definitely a pioneer and definitely someone that was well respected in the business. So definitely a big loss for the wrestling community.
Yep. And as a tag team, like he made tag team wrestling. He's one of the tag people in the team in the history of tag teams that made it what it is today.
Absolutely.
Yep. And like that video collage that I played on the other episode said, so many wrestlers, it was a night off.
Yep.
If you had to wrestle him, it was a night off. Yeah. But yeah, let's get into what makes a great heel, because we have brought this up several times in other episodes, trying not to go down this aisle. But, to me, a great heel is just that guy that you look at him and there's just something about him that you just don't like. And then he opens up his mouth and you figure out why you don't like him, because he's so great at making you not like him. So, I mean, AKA The Miz. I can't stand The Miz. And I know you want to get into why he's one of the best, but that's why I can't stand him, is because of the fact that he makes me hate the man.
Yeah, there are so many out there, man, that you just you see their face and you're like, man, F that guy, and F his family, and F everything about him. But that's what it's about for me. And we're going to dive so far into this, but there's a total package of a heel. There's a total package, and there are very few in my unexpert opinion that had the total package as a heel. So that's where I'll start and stop for now. But there are very few in history that had the total package as a heel.
Uncle Slam, what do you think makes a great heel?
Um, I mean, obviously, personality is probably the biggest thing. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot. I mean, like if I don't like, okay, I guess the prime example is we'll say Shawn Michaels. To this day, I still don't want like Shawn Michaels, and it's not just because I'm a Bret Hart fan. It's because he did such a great job of me disliking him. Once became, whether it was throwing, like Marty Jannetty through that window in the barber shop, or it was, coming out talking about how great he was, or whether it was him, pissing off Bret Hart and shit, talking about sunny days and shit, you know, people like that who you just, they don't have to say shit. They just step in the ring and people are just booing. Like that's the type of I guess heel I like. And there's so many different types. You got the sneaky ones. You got the ones that are kind of like Eddie Guerrero, Sly. They'll do anything to win. And then you got the obvious ones, kind of like Gunther or somebody like that, or like maybe like a Ted DiBiase. So I mean, I think they're also probably like the most fun people too. Now I'm not, I've never been a wrestler or anything, but I feel like they're the most fun to play because people always say villains are the best characters to play. You know, I feel like you could have more fun being a heel, than anything else.
My belt fell. It scared the shit out of me. I'm in this.
He
I'm
said
in.
my belt fell and scared the.
Scared the
It's I'm
shit
in
out
this
of me.
I'm in my wrestling school by myself, and everything's echoed in here because of the way the bricks are. That thing fell off and fell right beside me, and I just heel shit all over myself straight up.
Boss lady coming for you.
It's
Ghost.
One Last Rib by Dennis Condrey.
Ooh,
One
man,
Last
yeah,
Rib.
ooh, yeah. But
Hey, what a
listen,
great rib to get played on, though.
right at Uncle Slam said it, and as he was talking, man, I was sitting here thinking like the guys in history that done things like what he said, Sean and Gunther, but like the guys that, man, that like Jerry the King Lawler, like Jerry Lawler in Memphis. You know what I'm saying? Like you watch those Tales of the Territory, and there was motherfuckers out there trying to slice his tires.
Yeah.
That's a heel. That's a heel. People don't get that kind of heat anymore. They just don't. They don't get that kind of heat anymore. I know it's a different time or whatever, and the tabloids ruined kayfabe, and the internet ruined kayfabe and all that stuff. But Andy Kaufman, man, these guys that got real heat with wrestling fans, and I I really think Troy and I obviously. Troy and I have we've always been pretty one on one with the fans. The fans respond to us pretty well. There's been a time or two they didn't like us, um, but I feel like pulling the curtain back a little bit. I feel like the business is about the heels. It's good versus evil, and the evil is always the one trying to bring down everything that's good in life, no matter what it is. And there has to be a hero, and without villains, we don't have heroes. Period. And
Yeah.
and that's why I think they're so important.
No.
100%. Troy, what do you think
Have
makes
y'all
a
ever
great
been
heel?
heels before, or like have y'all always been baby faces?
We've done heel. We've worked heel
Okay.
a few places. Yeah, we actually. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's fun. It's a good time, man. But uh, we're kind of goofy. Until it's time not to be goofy no more. So it's hard for us to. It's hard to hate us, man. Look at us. Hell, he's got them blue eyes. And, you know what I'm saying? I got this beard and this long hair, and it's hard to hate us, brother. It's hard to hate us.
It, I mean, it's hard to hate, blue eyes, mohawks, beards, and long hair.
Yeah.
You're encompassing everything. You know what
I
I'm
feel like
saying? So, I
I feel like
mean,
I'm making it easier for Slam every time I say he screwed Bret Hart, but I feel like it's hard to hate us.
Bill
That's why I get
Goldberg.
the glasses. Like I said, that's why I have the glasses. That's so I don't see all the hate and stuff. I can just block it off. Next, I'm
Yeah.
bringing the intro music and shit.
Oh
So
God. Oh.
yeah, leather jacket. Here I come with some tassels. Look
Hopefully,
out!
hopefully it's Natty, the better wrestler.
Nah,
Right.
Yeah, boy. Yeah. What's up? I said
no,
it. I
no,
said it.
no, no, no. I
He
like to
said
keep
it,
the
and he
legacy
don't
alive,
regret it.
Tell us, Troy. Tell us
Yes,
what makes a
yes.
good heel, brother.
I think what makes a good heel is, as much as it is, oh, I can get these people to hate me and I can get them to boo me. I think what makes a really good heel is they get just enough hate, but not too much where it's go away. Because there's heat and then there's go away heat.
Yes.
Go away heat is, I don't want to watch you. I'm trying to think of a heel that I don't want to watch. I do not want. I don't care about the matches. I don't even want to watch them. I can't think of one at the top of my head right now. But the ones that can get that heat and use that, whether like I can't wait to see this guy get punched in the mouth or whatever. But also, what makes a good heel is they know exactly what they need to do to make that baby face even better. To make that baby face shine and really give that the fans a reason to cheer for the babyface. Like Brock said, without the villains, there is no hero. There is no Spider-Man without Green Goblin. There's no Superman without Lex Luthor. So I think it's a combination of they know just enough to get to that level, and then they know exactly what to do to get that babyface just absolutely adored.
100% agree. I love to see a heel. I mean, it's just the subtle things. And I've noticed it a lot more going to independent shows than I do, watching, mainstream wrestling on TV, the big times or whatever you want to call it. Like the heels, when you go to, well, just take, for example, EWA, Bobby Blade. That man can't talk anymore. The second he gets a microphone, it because of what he's done in the past, it's just nothing but booze the entire time. He can't talk. And it's just the subtle nuances of, turning around, giving a fan a look, you know what I'm saying, or pointing at them. It in a day-to-day life, I'm pointing at you, you're gonna look at me and be like, man, get your finger out of my face. But in that situation, you're gonna start jawing back to him. He's gonna jaw back to you. And it just, I don't know. I love watching a good heel work. And it's not always pulling out a roll of quarters to beat the bad guy or the good guy with. It's the subtle things he does walking to the ring, talking in the ring, walking around the ring, rolling out of just the one I've always loved. And it always pissed me off so much was the face is getting all kinds of, moves in on them. And the next thing you know, the heel just rolls up out of the ring like, nope, 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 we're not doing this. I'm like, man, get back in that ring, you pussy. It makes me want to like just smack him, throw him in the ring myself. But it's a subtle gesture that totally gets you on board with why he's such a prick or whatever.
Yeah. Think about McMahon's walk.
Yeah.
McMahon's walk to the ring. Stone Cold had a walk. It was his BMF walk. It just lets you knew that he was there for business. But McMahon walked it, and you knew he was a billionaire, and you knew he was the boss. And he walked like he was the billionaire, and he walked like he was the boss, and it pissed you off. It pissed you off, man. You know, you think about guys like Eddie before he got the Latino heat, and it was the lovable Latino heat. But you think about like old Eddie, man. You knew that guy was going to cheat. Just as soon as you heard his music, he was like, "What's this freaking guy going to do to cheat?
Yep.
What's he going to do to cheat?" You think about like I don't want. I keep wanting. I don't want to, so to speak, pull the big gun out yet, but you think about the Miz, man. For me, the Miz is that guy. Like that's the guy that has the total package. He could piss you off. You think about it, okay? So, which do you guys think is better, Flair or heel Flair?
Oh, heel Flair
heel
by
Flair.
far.
Thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
and I know Troy agrees. But why was heel Flair better? Because all those cool promos he cut about how he was a limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling deal. You knew he lived that lifestyle. So the hell with Ric Flair. The hell, because he gets all the women, he gets all the, you know what I'm saying? He got, the hell with Ric Flair. The same thing with guys like Ted DiBiase. The same thing with the Vince McMahon walk. The same thing with The Miz. The Miz is married to Maurice. And unless you're just dumb, and I'm not saying that I think she's the most beautiful thing on the planet, but like, he's married to this gorgeous woman. He's making a ton of money. He was a reality star. And there's guys like me and Troy who were out here on the independent circuit busting our asses and not getting any looks from the big company. But this guy goes on TV and makes an ass of himself, and now he's one of the best freaking heels, ever. That's why everybody hates his guts, because he went out there and he made a mockery of himself on was it The Real World he was on, or Road Rules or something?
Road Rules. Yeah. I think that's why I didn't like him at first too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's like a pretender coming over. He's not a real wrestler. He didn't pay his dues.
Logan
and then he came
Paul. Yes,
See, Logan Paul too. Like I said, like when when I first saw Logan Paul, that's the way I felt. I was like, he didn't pay his dues. He just got a bunch of money. He threw all that Prime money on there. He bought some sponsorship. But then I see him out there, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's paying his. He really did pay his dues and shit.
But that's why he's a genius. Because The Miz was a decent wrestler. He went through tough. It was tough enough and shit he went through, right? So he went through all the stuff, But Logan Paul was a genius about it. Logan Paul went out there and he done the videos for 14-year-old girls, like LA Knight said, and he made all that money, and him and his brother are huge jackasses on the internet. But then he comes into WWE and he's friggin' good right from the gate, bro. Right from the gate, he's good, and you're like, man, the hell with this guy. You can't look like $1 million, wrestle like $1 million, have $1 million, get all the girls, get all the. Screw you, man. I don't even want you. That dude couldn't be babyface feature-eyed. And there's guys that are like that, and Miz is one of them. And the other.
I feel like people like Ted DiBiase, kind of like people that are, or kind of like Mr. Perfect, people that are like, I'm better than you. Whether it's physically, because you have Mr. Perfect, I could shoot a ball, I can do this better, I can do that better. Mm-hmm. Everything I do is so much better than you. Or you'd have like a Rick Rude. No gay and shit, but he had a perfect body. He was cut. He'd always talk shit to all the people, all these fat, drunk people. Y'all be quiet so I can take off my robe so your women can look at me. Or like if you had a certain opponent, he put their women's faces on his trunks and shit.
Right on,
and then
he
hit you with the hips.
Yeah, I love it.
Or like
he made it real personal.
Yeah. Or, $1 Million Man, like how many times, I'll never forget the one like where he had that little kid and he was like, hey, like, can you bounce this ball for I think 10 times, and then I'll give you so many hundreds of dollars for your family and shit. And the boy was almost there, and then he kicks it away and shit. Like shit ball, like that, Yeah. And it's like he couldn't get the belt, so he just made his own belt and shit. That made you hate him even more because he always had money. He's like, oh, I'll pay this lifeguard so that I can have the pool to myself, or I'll pay this extra money so I can skip a line and shit. To me, like people that like that, or maybe the Iron Sheik or somebody that were just always like, you always hated them. And like, I don't know enough about the Miz. I just know from the reality shit, I don't like him. But from doing my research, he's definitely on everybody's top 10 list. Like he might not be number one, but he's in there and shit. Now he might not be on my top list just because, like I said, I don't care for him as much as everybody else, but I'll give his respect. But like I said, my top would definitely be like I said, DiBiase, Rick Rude, somebody like that and shit. Like those are my go-to heels. Now, also I would say like a Randy Orton and shit. But like Randy's so almost, he's almost going babyface now. It's like since he went back to the '09 or the new one now and shit, it's like the fans love him even more. Like they're happy that he's vicious again, or that he's beating the shit out of people and stuff. It's weird to me almost. It's like they love him because he's becoming meaner again. I don't even understand it. I guess it's just that hate.
It's
I
the
seen something.
This with Cody.
it's well, the other thing too about Randy going back heel is it's the Eddie heat.
Yeah.
Eddie when he got so hot, it didn't matter what he did. He was
Yeah.
relentlessly, he would cheat
Kind
right
of like
in
a
front of
Stone Cold. Yeah, it didn't matter what you did. Like they're just
Yes.
gonna love you no matter what.
Yeah, Stone Cold come out. He was supposed to be heel, brother. He was supposed to come out and be heel. He cuts that, Austin 316 says, "I just whipped your ass." He buries a legend
Mhm.
right there in the middle of the King of the Ring,
People loved it.
and people were like,
Yeah,
"Oh
loved it.
yeah, baby,
Yeah.
let's go." Yeah, he's my goat.
And
He's my goat.
I also think that Stone Cold doing that made it hard to be a heel and be completely disliked and hated so much, because there's always those few people that are like, yeah, he's a bad guy, but it's kind of cool the way he's doing it, and it's like, it's always like you're reevaluating what a heel is, because
Yeah.
again, what used to be a heel for Ric Flair is now cool because he's styling, profiling, but back in the day, it was like, man, to hell with him, man. I ain't got a limo, but he's got a limo and 50 women walking out of it,
Mhm.
Now it's like, cool, man, Ric Flair, that's bad, it can be. I tell you something that really I'd forgotten all about this, and I remembered watching it whenever it happened, and it totally pissed me off at this guy for whatever reason. I don't know, but Mr. Perfect got in the ring, had his towel, went behind his back, and threw it, and that towel landed perfectly on Mr. Hughes's shoulder. And when it landed on there, I was like, this arrogant son of a bitch, man. I just want to smack the perfect right off of him because, how did he just do that? Because
It,
he's
Because
perfect,
everything he does is
you
perfect.
know?
it's just like those heels that get in the ring now and just lay their gear wherever the hell they're standing and not give a shit about it. That makes me want to kick them in their dick so hard. Screw those guys. They're pieces of garbage. You know what I'm saying? Just laying their gear. That's the same thing. Just lay your gear down wherever you want it. I love you, Troy. Just laying their gear wherever the hell they want it.
Put that vest on the ropes. It's fine.
Just stick it up there, man. So, Uncle Slam, okay, you said, you listed a few. Who would you say is your favorite heel of all time and why? We'll go around the room with the question.
Honestly, like I said, that's tough. Like I said, because I kind of named a couple.
Okay,
probably.
let me rephrase it. Let's do it this way. You have a company. You can go get any wrestler from any time frame. Who are you bringing in as your top heel?
Shit. If we're talking about back in the day, I'm gonna go with like a Ted DiBiase, maybe a Ravishing Rick Rude and stuff. Probably Ravishing Rick Rude and stuff. If we're going, Attitude Era, it's going to be Stone Cold for sure. If we're talking now, probably Gunther, I would probably have to say.
I can see all three of those.
Yeah.
Brock's.
I would literally sit
We
there.
know,
I have
we
a
know the
box
Miz is
sitting
going to be
here,
on his list.
and I'm writing this. I'm writing my people out. I want to throw a curveball at you, though. If we're fantasy, where you said we have a company, we have a company,
Yep.
and I'm trying to book my number one heel. I'm going to throw the curveball at you. I'm going to book my number one heel if I'm fantasy booking, but I'm going to book him with someone else, and you'll understand where I'm going in a second. If I'm going to book who I think the best heel is of all time and start my company around them, I'm going to book Mr. Perfect with Paul Heyman as his mouthpiece.
Oh,
And,
so
and
good.
thank you, Sam.
Oh,
Slam,
so
thank you.
good.
So, and here's why, man.
Yes.
Mr. Perfect didn't need a mouthpiece. He didn't need a mouthpiece. But Paul Heyman is so good at taking people who don't need mouthpieces and making them so much more better. I feel like if I'm fantasy booking this, because this is something I was going to mention later, but we'll cross this bridge now. Brock Lesnar was the heel he was because of Paul Heyman. Okay,
Mhm.
he was a dominant son of a bitch. He's one of the
Mm.
most dominant people ever stepped in a wrestling ring, and you believed it because he was who he was. Or is who he is, I guess, still.
Mhm.
But there's something you got to add to it. There's these sprinkles, and Troy knows what I'm talking about. Bobby teaches here. Bobby Blaze teaches sprinkles in wrestling. The sprinkles in a heel formula is having the right people around you. I feel like. Um, so if you throw in a Paul Heyman with like a Mr. Perfect, who Paul Heyman can pull hate out of you like nobody's business. Here's this. Here's this freaking guy who's out of shape, who started out as a photographer, weaseled his way into the business, tried to ruin WWE with ECW, hated WWE and WWF, and then now he's one of their main guys. You hate this guy. He tried to destroy something you loved, and now he's helping run the company. But he's also taken CM Punk and Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is the heel because of Paul Heyman. Roman Reigns is the heel he is today because of Paul Heyman, because he had his chance to be a
100%.
heel.
Yes.
He had
Yes,
his
because they
chance to be a
hated
heel
him. Yeah.
and fell on his face because he's not Paul Heyman. He was Paul Heyman made that heel.
Yes,
Period.
he did. 100%. I totally agree with you on
Yes.
that. Like Roman Reigns
So
owes him a lot. If it wasn't for him, yes,
he
100%.
Roman
When I first
he,
seen the first time I seen Roman Reigns trying to be a bad guy, I literally told this to Uncle Slam a couple weeks ago. This man was sitting on TV trying to tell me the story of the friggin' Jack and the Beanstalk, and that was his promo.
yeah.
And I was so done with it. I was like, I didn't need that, Yeah,
Mhm.
Paul
So
Heyman did wonders for that man.
that's mine. I want to say Rick Rude. Um, Funny enough, I think Miz is right there beside of him. Um, but here's the other thing too to take in consideration with this greatest heel of all time discussion or opinion. Guys like the Miz, guys like Logan Paul, they're going to get an advantage because they can be a heel on social media, and Mr. Perfect didn't get that chance. Rick Rude didn't get that chance. Vince McMahon was just beginning at the beginning of the internet era, but he didn't get the social media stuff. Could you imagine a Stone Cold and McMahon rivalry with Instagram and Facebook and Twitch and
Mhm.
and Twitter and X and Snapchat and all the other bull crap that's out there? Could you imagine? Thank you, Troy. Troy knows where my mind's going right now. Could you
I'm stop a
imagine
mud
the
hole in your
guys?
ass. LOL.
I'm just saying, dude. So these guys had the advantage that Rick Rude and Perfect and those guys didn't have. So for me, Mr. Perfect with Paul Heyman would decimate every heel that ever stepped in the ring. Period. Period. It's just that's my opinion.
I can think of that.
I know that's what I'm sitting here saying. I listen. The problem
Welcome to my Kiss My Ass Club, JK.
yeah. Well, the
Yep.
problem with having me and Troy on the show is days like tomorrow. We have 4 hours to our video. We're going to wrestle, and then we have 4 hours home. We're in a truck with each other 4 hours with other people
Yeah.
with us, and we do this every friggin' weekend. We're on the road
God,
every
that's
weekend.
what
So
I'm gonna think of the whole drive there.
we have these conversations. And speaking of that, let me throw this in too. Totally, all jokes aside, one of our trainees here right now, is I'm not going to tell you who he is because I don't want to tear down this wall, but when we were talking about his who he was going to be, and he said he wanted to be a heel. One of the things I told him to do was be the guy that girls hate but don't want to turn their face away from because they just can't take their eyes off of you. Be the guy that guys hate because they know their girl likes you because you're strutting your shit to the ring and they can't take their eyes off of you. And be the guy that looks like $1,000,000 because the man sitting next to the girl was saying, man, if I look like that, she'd be looking at me. And then just just exude that confidence in everything that you do. And this kid took it and ran with it. He took it and ran with it. And he is a phenomenal heel. He has less than 15 matches in his career. and I would put him up against anybody in the business that's got double his matches on how good of a heel he is. And but that's the thing, man. Is he? I told him to take something and make the women love and hate you, and make the men hate your guts. And he took and that's a formula for me. And to piggyback off that one time, I'll shut the hell up. A really good heel in the independent circuit, one of the best in my opinion. Um, Told me early on is a good heel talk shit, they lose and they lie about it. That's the formula: talk shit, lose, and lie
Yes.
about it. And he is one of the best on the independent circuit to ever do it, to lace a pair of boots, because he caught heat everywhere he went. And he didn't give a shit whether you really hated him or it was just part of the show. He didn't give a rat's ass. And shout out to that guy. I ain't gonna tell you who he is because I don't want to give him that much credit because they hold that guy. But but yeah, Troy knows who I'm talking about. He's a good heel.
Yeah.
He's a good heel. So
So, Troy, who would you start a company with as far as a heel if you had to go with anybody from history?
can't be me, Troy. I'm a babyface. Remember, I'm a babyface.
I'm a baby
I was gonna,
face. Um, I I'm trying to think of people who could work with anyone. It could be the big guy, it could be the small guy, it could be they're creative enough to make anyone get over. I don't think um, there were some people who are great heels, but they just never did well with a big guy, or they could never figure out how to do stuff with the small guy because they were used to being that. Um, Eddie Guerrero was probably one of my go-tos for almost anything. Is because he was so creative. Whether he was in there with a Brock Lesnar, where he just has to, outmaneuver him. Even as a heel, you can outmaneuver this giant of a man. Being in the ring with Big Show, or against an Olympic wrestler like Kurt Angle or Rey Mysterio. He was so creative. He knew exactly what to do to get all these guys over. So Eddie Guerrero is probably my go-to heel to look for, because it wasn't just, oh, I'm better than you and you know it. It's, I'm not stealing that from MJF, is I'm smarter than you and I know it.
He done so
right.
many creative things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lie, cheat, and steal.
He
yeah,
was
man.
so
He
Yeah.
done so
good
many
at
creative
adjust.
things.
Yes.
And it was stuff you never seen before. And yeah, and good point, Troy. uh, that's something that gets passed over in on the independent side of wrestling too. What makes a good wrestler is people who can work with anybody. Good point on that, Troy. Really freaking solid point, man.
Thank you.
Yes.
A good heel needs to be able to work with Rey Mysterio when you're the Giant, when you're Paul, when you're Big Show, and also can work with Roman Reigns or the Great Khali or whoever. You know what I'm saying? Those big guys. So yeah, good point, Troy. That's a phenomenal point.
And also, here's a shout out, because I
One.
really enjoyed him. Kent Wilson. He is killing it
Who?
as Kit Wilson.
Kit Wilson.
Kit Wilson, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. The toxic.
Like toxic. It's so good. People laugh at him, which that's also a trait that some people take too seriously. They get laughed at, and they're like, "Oh, they're making fun of me." No, they're laughing at you because you're absurd. You're thinking everything's toxic, or that's a different style of heel.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Kurt Angle type heel. I'm the
Yeah, Kurt Angle
lovable
was never-
loser, but I can
Yes.
whoop your ass.
Yeah, he's an Olympic wrestler, but I'm gonna laugh at him. He's bald. He's trying to sing it with a ukulele. He's
I mean, he's a sexy Kurt.
yeah. This is an Olympic wrestler. Chad Gable's another one.
Yeah. Shorty G.
Yes. Yes.
Shorty G. Thank you.
Lord, when I always thought when Jason Jordan went down, I thought to myself, well, that's it. Chad Gable's done. Because just because of Vince's, idea of a
Ideal,
wrestler. He's
yeah,
too little.
yeah.
He's all the things that Vince doesn't want. And that man has overcome everything to become. I mean, I'm not going to say he's a favorite of mine, but he definitely makes me not like him.
He's up there for me.
So
Me too. Me too.
yeah,
He's one of the most underrated.
Yeah.
he's very good in the ring. He's very good in the ring. I would have rather have seen him on that team angle than Charlie Haas, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Like Benjamin, and Angle, I think that would have been a great. But if I was thinking about this a lot with my choice about who I would start a company with, and I didn't throw into my thinking. Troy kind of threw a curveball at me there about who can work with everybody, and I don't think my choice can work with everybody. Although I do think he would be a good choice, just not in that aspect. But Jake the Snake Roberts.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
just think Jake, because he didn't have to yell, he didn't have to scream. He could just go in there and talk smooth and just piss you off because you didn't know what he was going to do. You know, he
Mm.
would talk like in a mystery, and then who knows what the DDT's coming, but is he going to sneak attack you? I don't know. Jake to me just always was a number one heel that just never got the chance. Well, for one, because everybody started cheering for the DDT over Hogan's leg drop, so that wasn't going to happen. So, what is the difference, do you think, between like a modern day heel as opposed to like the old school? I guess not too old, but even back in like the 80s and 90s as compared to what a heel is now. Because, like I said, I feel like Stone Cold kind of changed what a heel is. Because it was used to me, it was used to if you were the heel, you people just didn't like you. They wanted to see you get beat. But now
Well,
it's
see, he
like
seems more like
it's
an
cool.
anti-hero. Yeah, not
Yeah.
like a good guy, but not
But it's
like a
almost
bad guy. Kind of
cool
like
to
a
root
gray
for.
area. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So for me, Stone Cold was exactly that. He was not so much to me not a heel. I think that was their plan, but that promo, man, also 316s, I
Yeah,
just whipped your ass. And wrestling was born in the southern states, and it can stretch all the way across the country. But when you're born in southern states and you got a guy that talks like that, drinks like that, and looks like that, it says, "I'm gonna whip your ass." It's over. It doesn't matter who you are. It's over.
Yeah.
So, but I agree with Unk there. His was it wasn't a heel. It was an anti-establishment. Screw the man. I'm gonna do me.
yeah.
You know.
I almost felt like
So
Vince was the bigger
so do
heel, but
you
even though Stone Cold was a heel, Vince was the bigger heel,
So
100%.
or
lesser of
more
two
of yeah,
evils.
so do you
yes, yes,
yeah. So do you feel like maybe like The Rock was more of the heel that you wanted to like as opposed to Stone Cold being like the anti-hero heel, not really heel, not really face. I'm just here for myself. But The Rock was like he had all the catchphrases that everybody wanted to say, but he was associated with Vince and the corporation and the nation and all that stuff. And even though he had the flashy outfits, the catchphrases, you wanted to like him, but it was also like, man, I want to see Stone Cold whoop his ass too.
I feel like I'm gonna shoot a hot take here. I feel like the one responsible for turning heels to be cool is the Undertaker.
Yeah.
That's who turned it. That's
Okay.
To me. That's who made the heels being cool. Because like
I can see that.
even like with the Ministry of Darkness and all that shit and all the things that come from the Ministry of Darkness, APA and all that shit. Um, I think Taker is the reason that being a heel was cool because he really wasn't a hero. He was like Stone Cold, but like he 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 didn't fight. He didn't fight his boss because he was his boss. He fought everybody because hell with everybody. He's the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to everybody. And I think
hmm
he's the one that made being a heel cool. Um, that dude could take a shit in the middle of the ring, as the Undertaker, go in the backstage, jump on a motorcycle, raise his fist up like this to Kid Rock, and kick, you know, a child in the face, and people would be like, yeah, because that's the Undertaker. That was the Undertaker. He's the one that made the heels cool for me. But let's back up to your question. What's the difference between old school heel and new school heel? It's something I said earlier. Two things: kayfabe's dead, and the internet. That's the difference. Because the King could get his tires slashed in Minnesota or in Memphis or wherever, and it would have to be a phone call to your cousin two cities over. Man, that Jerry Lawler, that sorry bastard, that hairy chest prick, he done this and this and this, and this right here is all you had. And then 2 weeks later, when you got your pictures back on your Polaroid, that's all you had. Now, guys, I had a match last night that's on my phone right now that I can post on the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's the difference in that heel and this heel. Is kayfabe is dead, unfortunately, and a heel can catch heat at 12 o'clock at night without a wrestling ring, without an audience, a live audience, and without doing anything. He can post a video. I could post a promo tonight, right now, about what me and Troy are doing tomorrow if I was a heel, and people would hate my guts by 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
do you think the internet? So do you think the internet and social media and stuff like that has helped or hurt in the long run?
I think it's double-edged sword.
Depends what you're doing with it.
It's double-edged sword.
Yeah.
The Bobby, and I'm always, every time I come on here, I say Bobby's name 4 or 5 times. And if you watch my podcast, I say it about every 30 seconds. But Bobby talks about sending VHS tapes to Florida, but so Boris Malenko, the great Malenko, would even take a look at him, and that's what they had to do back in the day. So on that aspect of it, I messaged a promoter 3 weeks ago, and we're on his next show. You know what I'm saying? Like, I sent him video. Boom, he has our video. I sent him my YouTube. You guys are good. I want you. It's that easy. So that's the sharp side of the sword. That's freaking awesome. That's what I'm slaying dragons with. The other side of that sword is where I cut myself, because Brock Spolder's cool, but Brock Spolder and the other guy, that Anthony guy, they look a lot alike. You know what I'm saying? And when you see Brock Spolder in Walmart, and he's got a cart full, and this is when my kids were younger, and he's got a cart full of kids, you don't see Brock Spolder with a cart full of kids. You see him as that guy that's rolling around the ring and hanging out with Titan Troy and beating ass. So, Lawler didn't do that. If you walked up to Lawler and asked for an autograph, he'd spit in your face, smack you across your nuts. He didn't give a shit. The last remaining heel in this business that does that is MJF.
Yeah.
I swear I was getting ready to
we were talking about him
up.
today. It's so funny you brought that up. Yes.
Yes.
We said the same thing.
I just wrote it down. Is MJF the best modern heel? Because I feel like he is. He uses the internet for everything. Yes. Because just his I don't know.
His gimmick in places. He doesn't break character.
Yes.
While
yes.
he
I've
uses
noticed
the internet,
that too.
Yes, he don't give it. He'll take his figure out of a sealed package right in front of a kid, throw it, not give a rat's ass, not care. Karen can be mad as hell, and he'll tell Karen to go fly a kite while a long walk off a short pier or whatever you want to say. He don't give a shit, and that's.
I seen a video of him a couple of weeks ago where a kid walked up to him on the street and was like, "Hey, will you take a picture with me and everything?" He took the picture, but he did it in total heel fashion. He was like, he took the picture while he was doing it. He flipped up his middle finger while he was doing it. And as the kid walked away, he said something like, "Thanks," or something like that. He turned around and he was like, "Yeah, now buy a ticket and come pay, help me pay my bills and everything." Made some kind of a comment to the kid.
Yeah.
I was like, what people don't understand is, like, if you really love the business, that was a moment that kid will never forget. It was a great, a lot of people would be like, "Well, that was so mean to do with, to that kid and everything. No, it wasn't. That he gave that kid exactly what he would have given that kid inside the arena.
Mhm. Yep.
He gave him
Yep.
MJF.
Yep.
Hmm.
And that's the thing, man. Like I said, that's why I think it's a double edged sword. I think social media and the internet's great. It's great for guys like Troy and I. I can message a promoter and
Yep.
potentially be on their show in 2 weeks, because I can send them 13 matches and references and all that crap, and I don't have to do it through snail mail. I don't have to do it no more. But then the other thing is, if me and I'll just be honest with you. For years in this business, I mean, Troy's my closest friend and brother in this business, but for years in this business and still kind of this day, I had a guy that was I consider just as close to be a friend as Troy is, but not in a ring, not anywhere where fans can see us. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
the problem with that is, me and that guy had great chemistry. We get in a ring, God, they hated him. God, they loved me, and he and I could make magic in the ring. Some of my favorite matches I've ever had one on one are with that guy, and he's such a good talent. Um, but we would go and eat out together. We'd go to places and eat, and he was in the back of my truck in a lot of these road trips. And but that's 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 the problem with social media is you get told as a professional athlete, don't do dumb shit because there's cameras everywhere. Well, when I'm hanging out with my boy who I have a match with in 2 hours, but he's still my boy, there's gonna be a fan be like, check out Brock's and so eating Toro Loco together, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the other
Mm.
bad side of the internet. But you got to take the good with the bad, man. Like the internet's helped me and Troy so much.
Yep.
I picked up a podcast from a guy in the UK in 2 weeks. I'm going to be on a podcast in the UK in 2 weeks, but that was because of the internet. He saw some of my Troy stuff, so that was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but then you got the part where, a close friend of mine I have great matches with in the good versus evil part of it. And I can't be a great friend outside of, what I'm saying? It's just, that's the double edged sword for me.
So do you
Yeah.
think Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Troy. Didn't mean cut you off.
No,
Go
you're
ahead.
good. You're good. I was also just thinking about the double-edged sword. Is you get some people who, oh, I love being the heel. They'll do the match and then they'll take those pictures with the guy they just wrestled
Yeah.
and they post it. Oh, we went to war, and I love being a heel. But they take it outside of the ring. They're not doing that. That's the
Yeah,
double-edged sword.
You're not
That's,
keeping the story
yeah.
going.
No, that's
Yeah.
the thing that drives me and Troy crazy. We'll see these guys out there, man. They'll post a picture. I'm at so and so tonight, and they got to take a picture, and then in the background you see the guys putting their matches together.
Yeah.
Stop. Or they'll go out there and have a banger of a match. They'll have a hell of a good match, and then they'll go sit at the merch table with each other. Or they'll they'll have a hell of a good match, and then
They'll tag down the road, next town over.
Or they'll take a picture in the car. Well, about to hit the old dusty trail here back home, and they'll take the selfie together. Me and my boy killed it tonight. What? Your boy tried to kill you earlier. Yeah. Or this is the other thing that drives me crazy, man. Y'all open a Pandora. Me and Troy will be on this for a minute.
That's
The other
all
thing that
right.
drives me crazy is you will go to a promotion. Say I'm here in Cold Grove, Ohio, at Aftermath Pro at our school right now. Say we do a show in there, and Troy goes out there and works one of the best baby face matches you've ever seen. Troy would never do this. That's why I'm using it as an example. Goes and works a baby face banger, right? And then in 2 weeks, he goes to, let's say, he goes to Spencer, West Virginia, which is only 2 hours from us, and goes up there and he's the biggest prick heel you've ever seen in your life. But he cut promos on his social media for this last show where he was like, thanks fans for coming out and supporting me. It was a great night for wrestling. And then he goes to Spencer and was like, you dirty slobs don't know how to hit a gym, can't take a shower, I should throw bars of soap at you, you pieces of garbage, on the same social media.
Yeah.
On the same social media. Shut the hell up. Shut up. No.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that, like, in situations like that where you are asked to work heel and baby in two different places, you should either one refrain from using social media as as one or the other, or should you just make separate accounts?
I think there's a way to do the promo where it's both.
Yeah.
You're promoting the event.
Mm.
Yeah, Troy and I have actually been in that situation.
Right.
We've had to do that. Uh, I think of course I have two different accounts. One for who I am Monday through Friday, during business hours, and then I'm Brock's. But what I think is be professional. I had a promoter, or at least a booker, reach out to me a while back for a company that I've never got to work for yet, that I wanted to, and a guy that I respect the hell out of. He messaged me and said, "Have you ever worked heel?" I said, "I have." He said, "Well, I need a heel in this city." Well, that same city was 2 minutes down the road from where Troy and I work babyface for another promoter who we love. And I had to tell him, "I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you reaching out to me, brother. And I can work heel, but I got a thing going on with another promoter, with my tag team partner. I can't work heel in that county, in that city." And his response was, "Thank you for being professional. Thank you for knowing how to keep the business alive."
Yeah.
And me and that guy still get along to this day. If you can't take a booking because it's going to hurt you or a company that you've got a lot of time or respect for, don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Just don't.
If the promoter wants you, they'll
Well,
figure something out.
Right.
right. They'll figure something out to keep you where you're not burying yourself
Yeah.
in the long run.
Yeah,
So
because you
so as
you get
far as working, oh, go ahead.
no, you're good. You're good. I was just gonna keep tangent, but you're good. Go ahead. Let's move on.
Well, I was just going to say, so, like, do you think that, like, being in the business and everything, and I'm like you just mentioned, you haven't worked all aspects of the business, but do you think that, like, working heel on the indies is much different than working heel in quote unquote the mainstreams or whatever, or is it pretty much relatively the same, just with a tweak here and there?
I'm gonna pop Troy here. It's TV, bub. So the independents are always recorded, edited, and posted later. The mainstream stuff is on TV live, and you know what I'm saying, it's TV
Mm.
and spot shows, which is what you know these guys that are running shows, TV wrestling on the independent circuit, and a spot show at some random high school or some fire department or whatever is completely different. It's
Yeah.
completely different. Um, there's things you do at a spot show that you will never do on TV, and there's things that you do on TV that you'll never do at a spot show. So um, I don't think one's better than the other. To be completely honest, I think that a spot show builds your person, builds who you are for those bigger opportunities on TV.
Yeah.
So I think one they have to go with one with the other, but it's more than a tweak. To answer your question, I feel like Troy said it earlier. You can work around being a heel and a baby. Um, make shooting an aggressive promo. If I'm in a city where I'm working a big name baby face in that city, but they also know that Brox is a baby face, I'm gonna go out there and be an aggressive baby face. I'm gonna be an aggressive
Yeah.
fighter in that match. I'm gonna be the
You may
aggressive.
be good, but I'm better because I want to be better.
Right. And you're not out there calling the people potbelly pigs or
No.
none of that crap. You're just out there. You're about the business. You're about going out there and getting the dub, and that's what you're about. The baby face is the one about slapping hands and all that crap, but you're not. Doesn't make you a heel. Just makes you about trying to pick up the dub, and that's all you care about. You're not really burying anybody. It's like Stone Cold. How many times you watch Stone Cold walk around the rings and high five?
Never.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's just drinking his beer.
but he was the biggest
Think
baby
of
face
one.
on the planet.
Yep,
So
most definitely. Uncle Slam, we've been talking. You got any questions for him?
Oh, no, yeah. Well, I've been listening mostly just because I've been I try to absorb what people say, especially Brock's and them. Like I said, they know a
That's
lot
me.
more, especially talking about you know
That's me.
not fucking up the game. If you're a baby face, don't mess it up and go someplace else. But probably one of the biggest thing I said, who do you think is the most underrated heel that people don't give enough credit to besides the Miz, obviously?
I was like, oh, here we go.
I know, I know. I tried to set that. No, I wasn't trying to throw that for you, but I'm just curious. Like I said, I mean, like, who do you think is just not appreciated enough that they don't get their flowers? That they're a really good heel. It could be past, present, future, or just whoever. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's not appreciated as a heel? Maybe like a Bobby Heenan, or like a Paulie Dangerously, or somebody like that, or whatever, or Ric Flair, or somebody like that.
Troy, you got.
I mean,
I have to think about this one for a second, but
Legend, I'll let you go first. Like I said, you always ask the question, so I'm gonna let you go first. Like, who do you is the most um, unappreciated heel? Would you say that don't get their flowers?
Man, that's hard.
ooh, I got a curveball. I got a
Thinking.
good one.
You
I'm
know,
not going to
one
answer it yet, though, but
one
I got a good one.
person that always comes to mind, and I know he got his flowers as far as he's considered one of the greatest that ever laced up a pair of boots, but I don't feel like that Kurt Hennig was appreciated enough for the heel work that he could do, to the point to where I think he deserved, some opportunities with a bigger world title in one of these bigger companies to show the heel work he could do. Especially, I feel like that once we got into the 90s and stuff, I liked the way that WCW kind of used him more as Kurt Hennig, not the Mr. Perfect gimmick. There were hints of it, but it was more about
Mm,
him just being him and being the
yeah,
heel and being the bad guy as opposed to just being perfect. You know what I'm saying? So I mean,
yeah.
for me, honestly and truthfully, I don't feel like he got his flowers as far as recognition, but I don't feel like he got the recognition he could have gotten as a top heel.
Okay, okay.
It's a good. It's a good one. That's a good one. Troy, you got one? I have two, actually.
I guess underrated because he didn't really get a big push out of it, and there's no payoff from it. But Chad Gable, he was underrated. That's why he got over, is because people was hated that he was so underrated. That's how he.
Yep.
That's why he's one of the. He's up there with LA Knight when it comes to underrated baby faces now. Like, people want him and LA Knight to be on top of the world, and obviously WWE don't want that.
It's a good one. It's a good one. It's a really good one. I agree. Gable's he's a he's so underappreciated for who he is and what he does.
Yeah.
So I agree
He's
with
so
that one.
much better than I ever thought he was going to be.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good. Um, I have two. My
Okay.
first one is Buff Bagwell.
Oh my
Mm.
god.
Okay.
I think Buff
Instant
Bagwell.
heat.
Yeah, dude. When you look like that, when you look like you end up being a gigolo, but you look like a gigolo. Come on, no one likes you. I mean, but I think I wish that he got a good heel run, but it was in WCW when everybody had creative control and everybody was trying to get themselves over and they give a shit about the business. So I feel like that was kind of a stopping point for him. Uh,
If he
Buff
could have
Bagwell was
been buff before, if he could have been buff before the whole Hogan NWO run, when they just had him as Marcus Alexander Bagwell, he would
yeah,
have already been positioned by the time Hogan and the NWO. He would have been one of the top world champion
yeah.
fighting heels. I
I think
agree with you on that.
I think Buff's a good one. Here's one that I think he shot himself in the foot. Um, but I think Mr. Kennedy should have
Mm.
got. I mean, I think he was such a good heel too. I
He
think
was
he was
very good.
really good. He was a really good heel. Kennedy, and I think I've read somewhere where all the shit that came out of him not getting the pushes he was his fault. for one reason or another. But I think Kennedy, given the right push, given the right uh, opponent, because that goes a long way for a lot of things you're doing. Given the right opponent and the push with it, I think Buff and Mr. Kennedy, I think are two of
Okay.
the ones that could
Oh,
make
Good
it.
that just
stuff.
gave me a that just gave me a big fantasy booking idea. I would love to see just for the promos is Kennedy and LA Knight.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, yeah.
Mister. As a matter of fact, yeah. It's funny you mentioned Mr. Kennedy because he's going to be in Richmond, Kentucky here in a couple of weeks
Hmm.
at All Star Classic.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting him then. Um, but yeah, any other questions, Uncle Slam?
Let me try to think. Not really. Like I said, I mean, I guess everybody, as far as heels, like heels are kind of like personal. Like everybody's got their favorite. Everybody's got what makes them like theirs. More than others. So I guess it's kind of subjective when it comes to it. Because what I like and what you like and what Brock's or Troy might like is completely different. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's pretty much subjective. Now, I honestly think that McMahon's probably the biggest heel out there, just because not only because I almost feel like he lived what he did. He was kind of like Ric Flair. It's like he was rich, he was powerful. He was the boss and shit, and he was kind of a dick. He did do shit that he probably wasn't supposed to do in real life and on TV. So, to me, I mean, that's the only thing I could really have to say is I feel like he's probably the greatest heel of all, even though he's a wrestler, but he's not a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, that's about it. Honestly, like I don't have any other questions, or.
Well, before we get off here, I guess we will do this. We will let the experts summarize what a great heel is and isn't before we take out, because I know you guys got a long trip tomorrow and I don't want to keep you all too late and everything. Y'all did us a solid by getting in here as quick as y'all could and everything after y'all's long day. But so we appreciate that and I don't want to keep you too long. So, as far as being the experts of the group, what, in summary, what is and makes a great heel and what should someone avoid when trying to be a heel?
I want to give. I kind of want to give the floor to her because I feel like I've said a lot of shit already, and I feel like I've taken time away from
There you
Troy, so I
go.
don't want to
Go
do that.
Nah,
ahead,
you're
Troy. You
good.
start them off.
I
Here,
think
we'll mute Brock's.
what 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 makes a good heel is is someone who is a good leader. What they should avoid is having a huge ego and be all for themselves. Be a good leader. Do what you need to get that baby face over, and in turn, they would make you look good. And avoid your ego. Oh, I'm the biggest, the hardest thing. Did you hear that, people out there? They hate me. They absolutely hate me. I'm the best thing ever. That's stuff you don't need. Do what you can for the business. Do what you can for the opponent, and that gets both you and your opponent the babyface over. Be a leader. Leave your ego at the door.
Okay.
You can talk now, Brock's.
He's muted.
I wasn't even talking. I was just moving my mouth. I wasn't saying shit.
Um,
Troy. He nails it, man. As always, ego. And he'll agree with this. Leave your shoot ego at the door.
Yes.
Leave your shoot ego at the door. Uh, Work business. Make it about business and make it about each other. But for me,
And that really works for both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Leave your shoot ego at the door. But the cool thing for me, I think, would be for a heel, the total package is someone who can live their gimmick, but not do it in a way that is fake, if that means anything. And I hate using that word, and I'm not using it because of the wrestling business. What I mean is MJF is a perfect example of old school heel. He took the picture with the baby face. Now go up, buy a damn ticket. Help support my family, you piece of shit. You know, whatever he said. But a good heel is a guy that can catch heat, can make the baby face look like $1,000,000, who can show why you want to hate him. You want to wake up in the morning and be like, man, that promo last night still pisses me off. I don't give a shit if he's married to a blonde hair with big boobs and blue eyes. I got my hand. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the stuff. You know, like that's the stuff that you're just like the Miz, MJF. For modern, Logan Paul's getting there. Logan Paul's getting there very quick.
Yeah.
These modern heels like that, old school. If I could, have you ever seen the movie Weird Science? Weird Science, where they
Yes, one of
build
my
Oh
their
yeah.
favorites.
perfect
Yeah.
girl. Okay, so if I'm building this perfect heel for today's run, it's Jerry Lawler Heat. You know, it's Mr. Perfect's perfect. You know what I'm saying? Because he was perfect at every freaking thing he done. It
Mhm.
was Rick Rude's body and his just an inability to give a rat's ass because he would put your wife on his crotch. Um,
Mhm.
it's having a power man like Paul Heyman behind you. It's having the athleticism of Logan Paul. It's the star power of the Miz, you know, and it's the ability to carry it in your everyday life of MJF. You find that heel, and you've got a company for the next 50 years because they're going
Oh
to build
yeah.
off of your ass for the next 50 years. That's where it's at for me.
I don't think I could have said it any better because I mean, like you said, it's you got to encompass a little bit of everything when
Mhm.
when you're being a heel. You gotta know, like you all have been saying, you all are the experts. You got to know how to walk that line of being a heel but not being an asshole. You know what I mean? You don't want to turn people off. You want to be enough of a heel to where they're like, I gotta pay $20 to go see that dude get his ass whooped next week. Just because he's saying just the smug look on his face now makes me sick because he
Mm-hmm.
said something. Yeah, I agree. Well, guys, I don't have anything else. I appreciate you all being here. Uncle Slam, you got anything else?
Nothing else. Like I said, man, I just appreciate them coming, man. Y'all like family now. Brox, I think you've been on here probably more than anybody. Troy, you probably a second close, whatever. So, man, y'all welcome anytime. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all got anything y'all want to promote? You know, while you're on here, or anything?
Yeah, we're traveling to Oliver Springs, Tennessee tomorrow for EPW. I don't know what we're doing yet. It doesn't really matter what we're doing. We'll go down there and give her hell like we always do. But first and foremost, though, Aftermath Pro man is the brainchild of. There you go. Troy raises up. We got the same shirt on. Didn't plan that, by the way, just so y'all know. Tag team. Um,
It's all right.
but
We both got the headlock shirts on,
that's
so
all right. That's all right.
No, I don't
Uh,
today. I got something else, but normally I do. Okay,
you wasn't
but
supposed to
yeah.
say that. You're just supposed to say
Oh,
yeah.
sorry. I'm an
Aftermath
honest
Pro,
person.
man. Aftermath Pro is the brainchild of a lot of hard work over the last couple of years and a shitty situation that ended at a place that we called home. But it's turned into something beautiful. It's the brainchild of all of us idiots that wanted to continue to do what we were doing, a family more so than anything, that wanted to continue wrestling and wanted to continue to teach wrestling and bring family friendly entertainment and old school wrestling because we fucking love old school wrestling. To the tri-state, to wherever, and um, we've been a thing since mid January, and we're training here. Bobby Blaze is our head trainer, and we've got kids out there working. They're not just it's not just 10 or 15 miles down the road. One of our kids that's only been 10 15 matches in, they're going to Tennessee with us tomorrow. And they're killing it. And these guys out here that followed and trusted to come to Aftermath with me and pick up where we left off, or the real all stars of what Aftermath Pro is and what it's going to be. We have our first event May 2nd in Lesage, West Virginia. Looking forward to that. We've got 5 other shows planned this year, and that's just the beginning. I feel like having 6 shows in 1 year in your first year is pretty good.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll stop there. I think we'll end up with probably 8 if I have my way, and I think I will because I always do. And we'll kill it, and we're going to do what we've done at the other place, and shout out to them as being as little petty as I can because I don't do it very well. But they're having their first event Sunday, and I wish them nothing but the best. You know, but that ain't your mama's. That ain't your mama's school that you grew up on. That ain't the same people that was carrying that place. The Titan Troy and Brock's Boulder, all the other guys that was there ain't carrying that place no more. So enjoy that shit. Come over to Aftermath and come see where it's at because that's where it's going to be.
That's it. And guys, if y'all are in the area, make sure you check these 2 gentlemen out and everybody they're associated with. If you want to get into wrestling and you're in the area, you want to get trained, go talk to these people, man. They will get you going.
Anything you want to do.
Yes, sir. They are awesome people. We love them. Like Uncle Slam said, they're like family now at this point and everything. I feel like I could just call Brock's up like his brother or something and everything. And Troy's right there with them. We love y'all to death. I was sold on you all, like I said, the minute y'all walked up into that stand to give my daughter an autograph, y'all went out of y'all's way for her. Yeah, I was sold. Y'all got a fan right there of me and her at least. So
That's what it's all
yeah,
about, man. I posted a
Yeah.
video this week of Avery, a little girl named Avery that actually funny story if you all got a second if you don't care.
yeah, do your
Yeah.
thing.
That event where we met you at EWA, we wrestled Ace Carmichael and Cash Atkins,
Yes,
and the week before we wrestled that match, we happened to be in the same at the same show, and Cash Atkins walked by with his daughter, and she wanted merch from us, and Cash was like, "Listen, I'm going to wrestle those guys next week. We can't buy their stuff. That's his daughter." He's like, "Girl, I can't buy you that stuff. I'm wrestling them guys." Well, then Mom stepped in because she's got the level head, obviously, and
Hmm.
and come over and got an autograph for little girl for Avery. And Avery's been a Grappling Inc. fan since that moment. I told her, I said, "Now, Avery, next week when we wrestle your dad and his partner, if you yell real loud when we come out, you don't give a crap who else is out there. I'll bring you a gift. Me and Troy will bring you a gift." So we go outside, and boy, she's losing her ever loving mind. She is in a sea of Cash Atkins shirts. She is sitting in a big sea of Cash Atkins shirts, including her mama. And she is Grappling Inc. to the core, Bubba. She's out there just fist pumping Grappling Inc. Didn't give a rat's rear end about anybody else. And I gave her a Grappling Inc. shirt. And
that
she
is
wore it
absolutely
proudly that
awesome.
whole match. And when her mom tried to take it off, she about fist fought her mom. It was the funniest thing. And we've got to be good friends with Cash at this point. I actually had Cash on my podcast last week, and we got to see him, and we filmed a little video for Avery. She wasn't at the show where her dad was, and we filmed a video and sent an 8x10 autograph and a sticker and a shirt home to her. And he sent me a video of her getting it and getting to see it for the first time. And I posted on my social media, and Troy's tagged in it too, so you can see it on his. But that's what it's all about, brother.
Yeah.
I went in the stands with your daughter that day and get her an autograph, and then Avery just, it was a shirt, man. It was a sticker. It was an 8x10. It wasn't anything to me and Troy, and for her to freak out and love it, and 2 videos, her seeing it for the first time, and then a thank you video, and how it just, man, it warmed my heart. And
Yeah.
that's, I don't, if I could just go from town to town and do that and get that feeling, I wouldn't give a rat's ass if I got pinned or a title or whatever. If I can just do that and have the kids have that much fun, and Troy and I, we're doing our thing, and that's what we love. So
It makes it worth the long trips going
It
down up and
does.
down the road. You know,
I
I
said it in
can't
that
say
post,
that I
man.
know that feeling because you guys, y'all are the pros. I'm just sitting here acting like I know what I'm talking about.
That's all right. I said it in my post, man. And the blurry road, when the roads start to blur and the hours are long, and the gas is a lot. The gas is expensive, and the miles are racking up on your vehicle. It's those moments where you're like, man, if we wouldn't have went, we wouldn't have had that moment, and it was freaking awesome, man. It was cool. So, yeah, for
Yeah.
your daughter, for any kid for anybody that's ever bought any of our stuff, man, we just know we appreciate the hell out of you. We do. We absolutely adore you, and we appreciate all the love and support.
And anybody and everybody out there, you will be hard pressed to find two better people in the wrestling industry just to talk to, every day. These are two great guys. We love them to death. We appreciate you all being here, guys. Uncle Slam, you got anything else?
No, sir. I'm tapped out today.
Well, we are going to ring that damn bell and let these gentlemen get some sleep so they can get on the road and they can have a safe trip to Tennessee. Guys, be safe. We love y'all. We will talk to you soon, and we're going to ring that damn bell.
Thank you.